so like embarrassing if I was a dad. That would be embarrassing because they've done reveal parties.
Gypsy Rose Blanchard is once again at the center of public attention, but this time, it's not about her highly publicized release or whirlwind marriage. The latest buzz surrounds the lingering questions about her baby's paternity. Despite a previous DNA test that Gypsy confidently shared with the public, confirming Ken as the father, the issue hasn't been put to rest. Now, a court-mandated paternity test has entered the picture, and Gypsy's reaction suggests that this unexpected development is weighing heavily on her. If she was certain before, what's changed? Is Ryan now questioning the results? Or is this simply a legal technicality forcing her back into a situation she thought was already behind her? In a recent interview with People, Gypsy openly addressed the ongoing legal process.
That would be crazy if I was the dad. Like, that would be crazy. Like, I would love to see the egg on their face, just like.
Revealing that Ryan remains involved in the situation despite their divorce and the test she previously took. She explained that while she had already undergone a paternity test before giving birth and shared the results publicly to shut down speculation, there were still legal proceedings that had to be followed. Though she tried to downplay the impact of the situation, her tone suggested frustration, making it clear that this process has been more stressful than she had anticipated. She admitted that while she and Ken are managing the situation as best they can, they are eager to put it behind them and move forward. But there are still unanswered questions. If the initial test was truly definitive, what exactly is left to finalize? And why does Gypsy seem so unsettled? She didn't explicitly state whether Ryan was the one pushing for this additional test, which only adds to the mystery.
Now contesting paternity of Gypsy Rose's baby. Or is the GRB camp and the network leading us to believe this? So Ryan is still in the picture regarding paternity, but I think what it is the
If he wasn't contesting the results, then why is the legal process still dragging on? Her choice of words hinted at deeper tensions, leaving room for speculation about whether Ryan has doubts, if new concerns have been raised, or if this is simply a drawn-out legal formality. Back in November, while still pregnant, Gypsy took a non-invasive prenatal paternity test, which she later posted on social media, revealing that Ken was the father with 99% certainty. Along with the test results, she reassured everyone that she and Ken had always known the truth and were excited about their future as parents.
Because the baby was born within 300 days of their divorce, Ryan was presumed to be the father, unless someone came forward and provided evidence that they are the biological father and signed a parental acknowledgement, which Ken did. Then Ryan...
The move was meant to silence rumors and put an end to any lingering doubts about who fathered her child. However, as convincing as the test may have seemed at the time, it wasn't legally admissible in court. The way Gypsy handled the situation only fueled more speculation. Instead of opting for a court-approved test after the baby's birth, she went with a prenatal DNA test that excluded Ryan entirely. This meant that while it confirmed Ken's paternity, it never ruled Ryan out as a potential father. Critics pointed out that this seemed like a strategic decision, as it only presented one possible outcome rather than addressing the full scope of the situation. The timing of her announcement also raised eyebrows, with some questioning whether she was attempting to get ahead of legal proceedings before they could interfere with her version of events.
Disavowalment, saying, I accept that and I'm not the father. The whole process of disavowalment can take a few months to a year, and it starts with filing a petition, then going to a hearing, then receiving a judgment. So the following article I think is important to listen to.
Now, with a legally binding test on the horizon, it's becoming clear that her initial attempt to close the chapter wasn't enough. Louisiana has strict paternity laws designed to ensure that every child has a legally recognized father, because Gypsy and Ryan were still legally married not long before the baby was born. The law would have presumed Ryan to be the father unless DNA evidence proved otherwise. Even though their divorce was finalized before she gave birth, the timing of the events left enough room for legal ambiguity. Under Louisiana law,
regarding paternity, but I think what it is the disavowalment process. Because the baby was born within 300 days of their divorce, Ryan was presumed to be the father.
Unless an official court-recognized paternity test confirms another man as the biological father, the husband at the time of conception or birth is presumed to be the legal father. The weight of these legal complications could explain why Gypsy seems so anxious. This time, the outcome is out of her hands. Unlike her carefully framed social media announcement, the court-ordered test will produce results that carry undeniable legal consequences. If Ryan has any doubts or if the law still considers the previous test insufficient, this process could take longer than she had hoped. No matter what the results confirm, Gypsy won't be able to control how they're handled, and that uncertainty might be what's causing her frustration.
Unless someone came forward and provided evidence that they are the biological father and signed a parental acknowledgement, which Ken did, then Ryan has to file his disavowalment, saying that I accept that and I am not the father.
If Gypsy was always certain that Ken was the father, then why does this court-ordered test seem to be causing her so much stress? If she had full confidence in the initial results, wouldn't this just be a formality? The situation is starting to raise more questions than answers, and one of the biggest inconsistencies comes from the way her story has shifted over time. When she first told Ryan about her pregnancy, his account of that conversation contradicts the confident stance she later took on social media. According to him, she initially admitted that she wasn't entirely sure who the father was. He claimed that she sent him multiple positive pregnancy tests, but didn't immediately assert that Ken was the father.
The process of disavowalment can take a few months to a year, and it starts with filing a petition, then going to a hearing.
When he directly asked her for confirmation, her response was vague. She reportedly told him, "I don't know." This uncertainty is completely different from the later version of events where she publicly insisted there was never any doubt. That change in narrative is significant. If she had any hesitation at first, what made her so certain later on? Was it genuine clarity, or was she trying to take control of the situation before it spiraled into speculation and backlash? The timing of everything is also something to consider. If she was unsure in the beginning, what happened behind the scenes that pushed her to definitively name Ken as the father? Was there pressure involved? Could it have come from Ken himself, from those around her, or even from a deeper fear of what the truth might reveal?
Judgment. So the following article I think is important to listen to. I feel like it's sensationalizing the paternity.
If Ryan had never questioned the paternity, would she have taken that first test at all? There's also the possibility that her initial uncertainty was something she wanted to bury in order to prevent it from overshadowing her relationship with Ken. Ryan's account makes it seem as though Gypsy's confidence in Ken being the father only solidified later. And if that's true, then the hesitation she showed in their first conversation could be a key detail in understanding why this court-ordered test is causing her so much distress now. Another important factor is the public image Gypsy was crafting at the time. After her release from prison, she was in the midst of rebranding herself. Her relationship with Ken was a major part of that transformation, helping to reinforce the idea of a fresh start. If there had been any real doubt about Ryan being the father, it could have complicated that carefully curated image, potentially shifting public sympathy away from her or inviting scrutiny she wanted to avoid. Since her release, she has been strategic about how the media perceives her, and it's possible that the way this paternity situation played out was influenced by that awareness.
Embarrassing if I was the dad? That would be embarrassing because they've done.
Ken's role in all of this is also worth analyzing. While Gypsy has openly expressed her frustration about the court's involvement, Ken has been noticeably quiet. If he was absolutely certain that the initial test was correct, why hasn't he been more vocal in shutting down doubts? His silence could suggest that even he has lingering uncertainties, or at the very least, he's feeling the pressure of the situation in his own way. Another moment that raised suspicion was his reaction, or lack thereof, when Gypsy publicly shared the original test results. He didn't celebrate, he didn't post about it, and he didn't defend Gypsy when people began questioning whether the test had been faked. Around the same time, Gypsy deactivated her social media, claiming that cyberbullying was the reason. But was it just about avoiding negativity, or was she trying to escape further scrutiny over the test results?
Parties, they've done all this stuff. That would be crazy if I was the dad. Like, that would be crazy. Like, I would love to see the egg on their face, just like.
There is also lingering speculation about the timeline of her pregnancy. She gave birth earlier than expected, at 36 weeks, which, based on the conception dates she previously shared, led some to question whether she had been completely truthful about when she actually got pregnant. If the conception happened earlier than she admitted, there's a possibility that Ryan, not Ken, could have been the father.
Has posted the paternity test results for her baby. So it says at the top, Gypsy Rose A. Anderson, alleged father, Keenan R. Erker. In the top right-hand corner, it says possibility of paternity 99.9%. Gypsy wrote in the caption, "There's been a lot of chatter."
This speculation grew even stronger when people began dissecting how quickly she moved on from Ryan to Ken. If there was any overlap between those relationships, it could change the entire narrative she has presented. If she was pregnant before publicly ending things with Ryan, then the paternity situation might not be as clear-cut as she initially claimed. Ryan pushing for a legally binding test now suggests that he believes there is a real possibility that Gypsy hasn't been fully honest about the timeline.
Baby. And while we've known for sure from the beginning, I feel that it's finally time to put all these theories to rest. Here are the results showing Ken is the father. Ken is going to be an incredible dad. We are so excited our baby girl and to welcome her to the world.
This also explains why this court-ordered test carries more weight than the first one. Unlike the initial test, which she had control over and could share on her own terms, this one is out of her hands. If the results come back differently than what was previously presented, it wouldn't just be a legal issue. It could unravel everything she has built publicly.
It also says that the test they performed, they used cell-free circulating fetal DNA isolated from the plasma of the maternal blood sample, and that this sample contains a mixture of maternal and fetal DNA. DNA was also isolated from nucleated cells and samples.
If the test reaffirms that Ken is the father, it will validate the story she's been telling. But if it suggests that Ryan could be the biological father, the fallout could be massive. It could lead to custody or child support disputes, cause a media firestorm, and even create serious tension in her relationship with Ken.
All DNA samples were analyzed using next-generation sequencing technology. Blah, 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 blah. Now, as we know, this was a paternity test that Gypsy decided to do herself, as she will inevitably have to take another test after birth since she's still legally married to Ryan. So the fact that she just took this test to appease the public and supposedly Ryan so that he can move on is just wild.
This situation is about much more than just confirming paternity. It's a pivotal moment in the larger story Gypsy has been shaping since her release. Her stress and frustration seem to indicate that there is more uncertainty behind the scenes than she wants to admit. Whether Ryan is genuinely convinced that he could be the father or simply trying to challenge Gypsy's past claims, one thing is certain, this situation is far from over. The question now is whether Gypsy is simply overwhelmed by the legal process, or if she is genuinely fearful of what the test results might reveal. Could this all be a way to build anticipation, or are we about to witness a major twist in her story? Thanks for watching. This situation is definitely getting more complicated, and with the court-ordered test on the way, things could take a major turn. Do you think Gypsy is genuinely worried about the results, or is this just legal red tape? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you don't miss any updates. I'll be keeping an eye on this story, so stay tuned for more. See you in the next one.